Hi, I'm Kara Williams Pierce, and welcome to video number 2, meeting people at the annual conference in Buffalo. There's different types of wanting to meet people, right? So there's the research, like how do I meet people of similar research interests? And then there's just like, I'm going to a place and maybe I don't know anybody. How do I, like, who do I eat lunch with, right? Um, First of all, major benefit of ISLS is that it is social and very friendly. And there are social events there. And I think Buffalo is doing even more sort of community building things as part of their slow conference, fast conference approach. So feel free to just go to a social event, get a snack and just go stand next to someone and say hello and let them take it on. And some people are also going to be nervous or they're going to be in a rush and they'll rush off without striking up a full conversation, but it's not a you thing, all right? Because the community here is really delightful. So go in with the assumption that people will be socially wonderful and friendly. And 99.99% of the time, they will be. So yeah, it can feel a little overwhelming. So one of the things you can do is you can be like, you know what, I'm just going to ignore the whole social thing. That's just too much. Instead, I'm going to focus on meeting people with similar research interests. My favorite way to do that is to go to their posters. Posters are really useful, and we'll have a video about presenting posters for if you're new to that. But posters are great because essentially it's a big room and there's these huge graphic representations of people's work. And they just stand there for an hour and a half and chat about their work, but they're standing there. And so people like, and I can tell you, I have stood by a poster awkwardly waiting for someone to come by and say hello. And so it is a great time to start up a conversation, ask them questions about their work, share some of their own work, share some of your own work. But they're there standing. They would love someone to chat with. And because there's a poster, you can always just say, tell me a little bit more about this, or ask them, like, how do you think this might relate to this other thing that I'm doing, and have a conversation. Now, sometimes posters can get super crowded, and so there'll be like 10 people waiting, and the poster presenter will be like, oh, like, ah. And so just say hello, introduce yourself, and ask them if you can meet them at lunch or something to talk about their poster and their other work, just because they're too busy. Or grab coffee together, or see them at the social event later that night, or something like that. But just like say that quick hello, introduce yourself, and say, I would love to talk more if we get a chance when you're not so busy. You can also go to their presentations. You can ask a thoughtful question during the presentation, go up after the talk, introduce yourself. If lunch is the next thing on the event, maybe wander off to lunch together and talk about their work. And there is some sort of prep work you can do for posters and presentations, or if there's someone in your field you're super excited to meet and they're going to be at this conference, you can look at their proceedings paper, read some of their previous papers, and email them before the conference. And, in that email, ask an interesting question, say, I'm really interested in your work. I'm doing work in XYZ. And one of the things that I'm struggling with is the overlap between blah, 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 or this question that you posed as future research that should be done at the end of one of your other papers, or so on. So before the conference, you can schedule like a coffee break together. And you can absolutely, when you go to presentations and posters, having read the proceedings ahead of time, knowing their work can be really helpful. If you don't have time for that, then that's okay too. Just, care about their work, care about what they're doing in this space. People love it when other people are inspired by their work. So just be honest about your interest. And just a quick note, I think this might not be true for everybody, but I prefer using Whova during the conference because I tend to be trying to avoid email because it's filling up with work crap. And I want to focus on the conference. So I think email is good for before the conference. Whova is better for during the conference, even though I do think you can use both before and after and during. But Whova might be, people are more likely to be opening it regularly, and they might be more likely to see your message. Okay, now, what if you're an introvert? So you're going into this huge conference and you're very introverted. The bonus is that Whova is a really good resource for this asynchronous like communication and bonding. And there are different activities that ISLS runs on there, different questions, places where you can pose your own questions. So you can actually like say you've been out talking to people all day, your like meter of being able to talk to people is drained to zero. Then you could just sit quietly in your hotel room, sort of refilling the meter of energy, and still participate asynchronously through Whova. And then social media is also a really good resource. I don't use Twitter anymore. I used to, and I loved using it at these conferences because you just use the tag, the ISLS hashtag, whichever one the conference has come up with. You tag the people who are also there, who are giving the talks, post compliments, etc. And then they'll see you and they'll like you and they'll follow you. And so you might be on Twitter or Facebook or Blue Sky, wherever your online community is. Before the conference, see if you can find other people who have posted with the ISLS hashtag, because those are other people who are probably going to be there. And you can do a lot of asynchronous communication there, and like before, during, and after the conference. So yes, but if you're an introvert, or even if you're not, and you just get exhausted by the day, it's okay to sit in your hotel room and just sort of recover. And if you still want to network and socialize, but away from people, then Whova and Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, etc. Is a great way to do that. And in the next video, I'll be talking about how you plan your conference, because both introverts and extroverts can struggle with maintaining energy and enthusiasm because the conference is so big and so thought-provoking and so exciting, and it can be a little overwhelming. So look at that too, but I hope that you've learned something about what to expect at ISLS and different strategies for meeting people.